Simply Centrell. She will ignite your passion and bring your purpose to life. The strategy she shares will take you to higher heights, improving your energy, spirituality, your well-being, a better mindset for your journey to build a better you. She's on fire to take you higher. She's on fire to take you higher. The Simply Centrell Show.
Hello, and welcome to the Simply Centrell Show. We have an amazing show set up for you tonight. We are talking about creating perception with purpose. And we have an amazing guest. And so I want to make sure to invite you to like, share, follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to check out the replay of these videos on YouTube. Do that and share the video also so someone else can join in. We are talking with Berry, the CEO of Berry Dynamic PR Agency. So we all understand how important it is to sometimes put a spin on things that happen in our life. Sometimes just the bare facts are misleading. People form an opinion, and we have individuals out there that are able to use words and use influence to create messaging that allows for those different experiences to be related to in a different way. So without any more delay, we have Berry. Thank you for joining us today. This has been so crazy.
You gotta love it.
Yes, you have to love it. I am so glad you were able to join us today. We have been through all kinds of high water to get you here. I guess that is the life of a PR agency that is in demand. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
So we have all of our folks out there probably are in the same boat as me. They want to know what PR firms do, what PR agents do. Before we get into that, tell them a little bit about Ciara and who you are, where you're from.
Okay, yes. So from Alaska. So yes, it stumps everybody every time. But yes, my father is in the military. So I was born in Alaska, raised in Missouri City. I'm the oldest of 7 children. I've attended UT in Austin for a few years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, of course you wouldn't.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't there. I mean, the military thing, maybe we would have crossed paths or something. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't know that. That was a little, I know you studied journalism. I just didn't know where. So
yes, when I went to UT, because I've always been such a really great writer. I've been writing poetry since I was a little girl. And writing songs. So, naturally I knew I was going to be doing something in, journalism aspect. And as I got deeper into my collegiate career, I began to go to U of H in Clear Lake once I moved back home and discovered PR. And it's like, I've been doing this my whole life. Why didn't I start doing this before? So yes, since I've graduated in December and really taken that leap of faith, leaving, 9 to 5, and was like, you know what? Let's go to this.
Yes. That's a huge leap. I don't think people really realize how much faith you really have to have to believe in yourself.
Definitely.
To do what God has given you talents to do, giving you the ability to do, giving you the passion, something that's burning inside you that says you need to pursue this.
And what sucks even more is when you're telling people that that's what you want to do and them wanting to talk you out of it. Well, do you have any money saved? Or what are you going to do? What about your bills? And it's like, it just reminds me that entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. You go to your part-time or your full-time job and you're guaranteed a check. But with entrepreneurship, you have to go find your check. But that's the fun part about it too.
That's the perception. See, this is how you create that perception, because some people don't feel like looking for the check or going to find the check is going to be the fun part. That's not the exciting piece to everyone, which is why entrepreneurship is not for everyone. We do have to have people that work in industry, people that work for other companies. That's how companies are built to be great. That's how your PR firm is going to grow and become a multi-million $1 million agency, because you're going to have people that are going to want to come, and they're going to have a 9 to 5, right? They might even have a 5 to 9. They might even have a 12-hour shift, whatever is needed to get the job done. So we all have that want and desire in us to do something, and they're going to serve in some capacity. You hit it on the head when you were saying that some people don't understand what that means. Like, they always look at the other piece, right? They look at you have bills, right? What are you gonna do? Where are you gonna live? Are you not coming to my house? Are you? Right? That's really
everybody wants me at their house.
That's really what they want. They really don't. They're really not that concerned about you. They are. They just want to make sure you're not going to be calling them for a loan, etc. When you do have a dream, though, you have to follow it, and it's not for everyone to understand. You truly just have to pursue it because it's been given to you. So it sounds like you did that because you knew you had something at a young age. So for those people that now know you as the owner of a PR firm, they now know you do poetry, which is also creative.
And that's what I actually use to, market my PR. With poetry, you have to be very creative, use different metaphors, symbolic when you're explaining a situation or something. So I like to go out and perform to just basically showcase my abilities to be able to write, and to showcase that this can be me talking about your company. This can be my way of branding you to other people.
Well, that's unique, because I don't think that I've ever, I haven't had a lot of experience with PR firms. I'm sure I will. I don't think I've seen anyone do that poetry aspect. And this is one of the great things about you, because you are being authentically yourself. This is your creativity that you're bringing to something else that you love. So two loves colliding, and you're able to find how they work. And a lot of people aren't able to do that. When did that light bulb go off? Like, oh, I can use my poetry as part of my PR, as part of how I shape the scenario and the narrative for my clients. When did that gel? Because it doesn't work like that for everyone.
Honestly, it didn't gel until I left my job. I used to work at HEB for about 8 years. And I would literally stand there for 6 to 8 hours and bring paper, pen. I would bring books to read, and definitely was breaking all the rules.
What were you doing at HEB? What was she doing at HEB?
Food. I used to cook. So I just felt I love a challenge. I don't like being stagnant in life, and so I use that time, of course, to still do a good service and serve other people, but at the same time use that time to invest into myself as well. So I would write different poems. I would write out, maybe just journal what's going on, or write down different goals I want to achieve for the week. And so once I kept doing that, actually, I didn't even know Hurricane Harvey was taking place. My last week was that Wednesday, which was 2 days before Hurricane Harvey.
Wow.
Because I was always doing my agency. I actually worked with the Texas Black Women's Expo that took place in August. So I was always doing the agency, but I felt that I couldn't fully pursue it because my attention was everywhere else. So
I think we know that feeling.
Yes. So that week I was like, you know what? This is it. Lord, you take the way. And it was just perfect timing, and I haven't looked back since.
I love that. So that's encouragement for anyone who is, one, doing a full-time job, no matter what their hours are, 9 to 5, they're working overnight, stocking, whatever, and when they have downtime, to make sure that they're sewing into themselves. A lot of people, after they leave their 9 to 5, they feel like they're spent. They're mentally drained, they're physically drained. They don't want to put anything into themselves, and yet they've given everything of themselves to someone else. And so you can't leave that dream on the shelf, and you didn't. And so that's an amazing piece to share with folks, that when you have something burning inside you, it's going to continue to burn until you actually satisfy it. You have to actually pursue it so that it can start to grow, and it can start to unravel into something that you've never seen before. See, because right now your view is limited because you haven't stepped into it. So after you did step into it, and it hasn't been a long time, you made the decision. What have you seen happen?
So much favor. Like, excuse me, God has really placed so many people in my path. and people that I never would have thought I would meet.
Yeah.
You know, I had a chance to work with Tori Hart and, you know, meet her team and be with, you know, work with Leola. And now I'm getting ready to put on my own events. I actually, you know, premiered the Marshall movie, and that tested my, you know, ability to reach out to people who you generally would never really talk to. And so I'm just so grateful, and it's testing my confidence in myself, you know, letting me know that you don't have to be limited to do one thing for the rest of your life. You know, if you have a passion, don't not take a risk. I'd rather take a risk and fail trying versus living and feel like, man, I wish I would have did that, you know, 20 years ago.
Absolutely. Well, there are no failures in life. There are only lessons. The ones that teach you that, oh, we tried that, didn't work, maybe we need to try it a different way. And you're a living example of trying what it is that you're excited about. And then not only that, again, poetry and now PR, and you're melding them together. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, because you and I have done some events together, so we want to talk about that. That includes the Marshall premiere and what that has meant to you and how it kind of, you know, plays into everything that you're doing. So we will be right back. Make sure to like, share, follow on Simply Centrell, and we will catch you in a minute.
Parkway Mazda is where customer satisfaction is just not a slogan, it's our culture.
I love coming here. It's like coming home. I feel like these people are my family.
Which is very appropriate because that's how it is around here. It feels like family.
Okay, I came to Parkway because my car was flooded in Hurricane Harvey, and they picked out a car, or we picked out a car, and it was in the right price. It was real easy. They pulled it around the front. I bought it. It was easy. They made me feel just like family.
Once a customer, you become family.
The people here at Parkway Family Mazda really do make you feel like family.
Every experience has been a pleasant one, from the purchase to the repair to the finance.
Come on and join the family at Parkway Family Mazda.
At Parkway, we are deeply concerned for all who are affected by the recent flood. For a very limited time, take advantage of 5 months, no payments on new 2017 Mazdas, $1,000 rebate and $750 flood assistance, and 0% ARP financing for 60 months.
Welcome back to the Simply Centrell Show. We are talking about creating perception with purpose with C.R. Sewsbury, a very dynamic PR agency. And when we left before the break, we were talking about the Marshall movie. And that just happens to be something that you and I did together.
Yes,
So
which I'm so happy you were there for.
Thank you for the invite. So it was amazing to provide media for you guys for that night. It was red carpet. We had a lot of influential Houston elite there, which was great. I thought it was an amazing event, and you put it on.
In 7 days.
In 7 days. I don't think anybody knows that. So tell us about what led you to the Marshall premiere, to do an event around this movie. Thurgood Marshall, and he was an influential leader in our American history, and we're talking about for justice and a whole bunch of other things. So let's start with why the Marshall premiere as an event that you wanted to put on.
Well, actually, Christopher Darkins, who's the former ex-Green Bay Packer football player, he recently was, exonerated from, the prison system, being found innocent, representing himself throughout the whole system. He got pulled over for a failure to signal, for a 30-man indictment, and basically he was like, don't give me a lawyer, don't bail me out, I want to fight this from the inside out. He had been studying law for about 20 years, and that was his moment to shine.
Really?
And so he did an interview, but he didn't, want to actually go public with it. ESPN really wanted that interview and was going to pay big money for it, but he's like, no, it's not the right time. And so I've been talking to him, and I was like, okay, when you want to do something, like, you ready? And so I've been doing so much research, actually, because it's my first time. I'm not very familiar with law, but I knew for some odd reason, I needed to do something.
Right.
Just sitting here allowing this man's story to not be told, it just wasn't an option.
Right.
So basically one day I was watching TV, which is something that I never do. My granny actually brought an antenna during Hurricane Harvey.
Wow.
During Hurricane Harvey, she brought an antenna. The TV never comes on. And one of my other clients, she was like, when you do some work, instead of listening to music, put the news on.
Yeah.
And that one time I turned the TV on, the gentleman that plays Joseph in the movie, he was on.
K. Brown.
Yes, he was on
This Is Us. I love that show.
He's amazing too.
He is. And This Is Us and Sterling is amazing in the Marshall movie.
Yes.
For those who haven't seen it. Yes.
And so he was on the Steve Cobalt show, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's almost like God started to speak to me.
Absolutely.
And I was like, oh, that's it. And of course, the movie is all about wrongful convictions and, that being something that's very popular back in that time and which still takes place today. And so I ended up sending like maybe a 4-paragraph email and was like, hey, we're doing this. Not can you, but this is what we're doing.
There you go.
And so I'm just truly blessed. And, he given me the honor to tell his story for the very first time live in front of an audience at the Marshall premiere.
Yeah.
And so just really wanted to give light on what's really going on in our society. It's not just the prison system. It's really all a plan about eugenics, which is used to target a certain, either a race or less fortunate, race. Yeah. And so we find that, one out of 3 black men are going to be in prison, and a third of those men are in prison, given longer time than, maybe a white male or someone else. So I just found that it was a dire need to really tell the story, tell his story, and bring awareness on what's going on in our society.
No, and that's amazing because the Thurgood Marshall premiere of the movie was timely because the movie actually opened on October the 13th. So that was just a few days ago, right? And your premiere was a few days before that, which was great. So it was like you had it all set up, and then you had someone who had a personal experience, and you encouraging them to come out is amazing. To say that he was pulled over and it was just for a failure to signal, and by the time he had to go to court, he had 30 additional counts of other charges that he had to fight. What was the reasoning for that? Because sometimes I think that we don't understand the backstory, right? What was Christopher doing? Because I think this is important for everyone out there to understand. What was he doing in the community? You said he studied law and kind of had that as something in his back pocket. What was he doing? Was he an advocate? Was he out there maybe ruffling some feathers, maybe helping other people, and that just made him a target? Or was it a situation where it simply was that it was the color of his skin and they decided that they were going to try and incarcerate him?
So it wasn't a 30 count. It was a 30-man indictment. And so basically, since he has a background in law, he was giving advice to other people about law. And so that, of course, was a red flag because, if you're not hiring any lawyers, you're giving people free advice how to free themselves. Of course, knowledge is power. They're not going to want you to be, sharing that type of information. So it was practically just finding a reason to pull this man over, charging him with a marijuana case eventually and sending him to federal prison. And so it's like, how does someone who's never been in trouble, who's a great advocate in the community and who gets, a year and a half in federal prison, not county jail, federal prison. And, he went to the appellate court, his whole case went to Georgia. Once you get to Georgia, that's where, all the top dogs are, when it comes to law. And so it's just, I just found it so very valuable, that's not only happening to him, but, the whole kneel of the NFL, like this is what they're kneeling for. The fact that this is taking place, there is no justice, and they're excluding justice against just us. And so, wanted to tell his story, bring in a representative from the NAACP Fort Bend, Lynette Reddix, who was so kindly to come out. She actually met the author that wrote the Young Marshall book.
Yes,
so,
I remember that.
Yes, her coming out, and then attorney Warren Houston, who is a lawyer who actually teaches citizens how to not criminalize themselves. So he teaches them the law. And I found that very, just remarkable because I didn't pay attention in government in high school.
I don't think it would have helped because what they teach you in government and all of those history classes is the history that they want us to know. It's not necessarily
not
the truth of
true.
history. So you said something, knowledge, right? So this 30-man count, right, is something that he likely would have had to have dealt with, because that's what we deal with when we're talking about racial injustice. There is bail reform issues, and a lot of those things are disproportionate to individuals in poor circumstances. They don't have the money for bail, so they sit in jail a little longer, even when they're innocent. And sometimes just to get out of jail, they actually will cop to something that they didn't do so that they can be free to go home to their families. And I think that that's it's a very sad situation. The fact that you thought it was really important to highlight Christopher's story and to do it in a public way, where we had all of those wonderful people come out, people that are already a part of organizations like the NAACP, and to highlight what Thurgood Marshall did to bring a visual light to that movie, because it was a well done movie. I mean, we had Chadwick Boseman in that movie. There was Kate Hudson, Josh Gad, and then of course we talked about Sterling K. Brown, and all of them bring light to this story being first told in cinema. Now, we're only a few days in, so people still have the opportunity to go and see the movie. They need to understand the history behind the movie, and it is American history. And one of the things that I took away from the movie was just that, knowledge. See, that's what Thurgood Marshall had on his side. He had the law, and he had knowledge of his rights, which I can't even say that I know all of mine, you know. So I would encourage anyone that does not know to turn off the TV, right? Because even watching the news sometimes can be a bit overwhelming. You don't know what's fake, what's real, you know. It's important for us to know what we have rights for, and to be a part of something that means something, so that we can all come together. So that was some of the things that I took from the Marshall movie. And what did you take from the Marshall movie?
My favorite quote that Marshall states in the movie is, "We have something that we didn't have before. We have the law." And he states that in regards to, you know, we're not slaves anymore. But at the same time, you know, the law wasn't meant to work in our favor. But it can work in your favor if you know it.
When you know it, yes. When you know it. And that's where the education, and yes, I say education, learning, teaching, knowledge. I say those words because sometimes I think people take offense to having to pick up something that they may not have. It's okay. Everything in your life has been about learning, teaching, knowledge, you know. So you have to be able to educate yourself on these things in order for you to be able to fight against these things, or they will continue to happen. And I believe
self-education is the best education, because the school system, you know, as you stated earlier, it wasn't meant to give us what's true. Even the history that's taught isn't what's really true. So self-education is something I highly recommend to everyone, and you just never know when it might come in handy.
No, you never know. As Thurgood Marshall showed us, he was our first African American Supreme Court justice in a time when that was unheard of. So he was forging the barriers. He was pushing past those things that people were or were not doing to show us a different example. And I think that that's really important to know.
Yes, and you know what's so interesting? I'm actually a graduate from Thurgood Marshall High School, and you know, going to that school and realizing what we were representing, I learned more from the movie than I ever did from actually going to the school. And so it's just so interesting how, like you say, they pick and choose what they share with us. So
see, that's why you have to know for thyself. Because you wait for someone to teach you, show you, give you the things that you think they should be giving you, and you may never get it. That's where the initiative comes in. When you want to know about something, or when you feel like something's not right, you've got to investigate. You know, do a little recon. There's nothing wrong with recon. Could be just Googling just to read it. I would highly recommend it. It's important. So we are going to take a break, and we invite you to like, share, follow at Simply Centrell. We are talking about creating perception with purpose with Ciara Sewsbury, and we'll be back in a moment to share a couple of other interesting things about what she's doing. Take a look at this premiere from the Marshall movie, and don't forget to go check it out. It's opening week.
You gentlemen are making a big mistake.
This here is Mr. Thurgood Marshall. Man is an attorney. You will treat him with the respect that he deserves.
My great-granddaddy, he was a slave. We're not slaves now, are we? We've got weapons we didn't have before. We've got the law.
Baby, you go into these towns who've never seen a Negro lawyer.
Hey, boy!
You need to be careful.
NAACP.
Thurgood, you're going to Connecticut.
Joseph Spell, Negro servant, attacked socialite in her own bedroom.
This case will show the world if a colored man can get a fair trial in the United States.
There's only 13 million Negroes depending on you.
Don't any of you have any confidence in me? I'd say you have enough confidence for us all. I only represent innocent people, people accused because of their race. That's my mission.
I never touched that woman.
I need a partner who the jury can relate to. Sam Friedman. Good to meet you, Sam. Hey, give me a hand with these, would you?
What have you got in here, cement?
Guns. Books, Mr. Friedman.
I had homies in the 11th grade doing gun trades.
You just sweep through town, stirring up all kinds of ugliness. My life is on the line here.
Hey, Attorney Friedman, hold on a minute.
What do you want?
You're one of us now, Sam. A real fighter.
Step away, you can't take the heat on the battleground.
Neither of them have been telling us the truth.
He attacked me.
I'd advise him to accept the deal.
You lied in a sworn statement. Why would you do that?
Why'd I lie? Because the truth gets me killed.
You can't deny me now. Tunnel vision.
If you want freedom,
Tie me down on the mission.
you're gonna have to fight for it.
Stop me now.
The only way to get through a bigot's door was to break it down.
You can't stop me now.
We are just finished watching the Thurgood Marshall movie, and it was amazing for me. And as I told you before, we were going to bring you back and get your thoughts. So please let us know. What were your thoughts?
I thought the movie was simply amazing because it gave you the idea of whatever that you want, no matter how many people are against you, no matter what against you, you can stand. If you stand for something great, do not settle for less. And don't settle for anything that you don't. If you feel like it's right and you feel like you can make a difference out here, you can do it. You can do it. The strength lies within you and who you are. And that's what Thurgood Marshall did, because he knew what he was standing for was for something right. And he didn't give up. He didn't stop. And I encourage everybody to actually step out and go see the movie Marshall, because it's very encouraging. It makes a difference.
So what do you think is the charge for us now? I mean, we've seen an activist, this was some time ago, and now we're talking about 2017. So what is the charge now for each one of us to do, especially after seeing a movie like this?
I feel like we need more leaders. We need to stop settling, because there's a lot of leaders out here, but the problem is they don't trust themselves. So now if we get more leaders out here, we get more people to trust themselves, and we get more examples, then we can make a difference. And that's the problem. We don't have a lot of people who have that inner trust. You get that inner trust, that burning sensation, just jump. Jump and stand for everything that you believe is right. Because when God is for you, who can be against you?
Absolutely. Wow, Miss Black Houston, and she's letting you know, step out, take action, become a leader. We need more of you.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, darling.
You're welcome.
Mr. Houston, we are here after the premiere. Big things just dropped on the screen. I mean, I felt some things move in my spirit, and I know you as one of the prominent lawyers here in Houston and as a teacher, studying law, sharing with groups and students all around. I know you grabbed some nuggets. So tell me, what was your experience?
This movie was very emotional for me. I'm compassionate in what I do, and Thurgood Marshall is one of my inspirations. So to actually see it, I've studied this man, so to actually see it come to life on camera was very, very emotional. And because of the very things that was brought forth in this movie is the very thing that I try to teach the students. If you looked at it, one thing that I liked about it, I try to teach the students, in spite of what's going on, in spite of the racism or whatever that they feel, the police brutality, what did he do? He had fun with it.
Yes.
You see, so he flipped it. And so therefore, you know, the people that were inflicting this so-called pain were not able to enjoy it. And so this is the type of mindset or mentality that we have to have inside this game in order to change it.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that I really liked about the movie was how he studied people. It was not just the law. See, when you're growing and when you're learning, you have to study a number of different things. And he was studying people and how they behave and what they do when they're telling the truth, or what they do when they're fond of you, and how you can use those things to your benefit. What can we learn from not just studying in books? Because there is life happening all around us. What can we learn from that?
Now this statement may get me in trouble, but I'm going to tell it like it is. Most of our people, when it comes to people of color, we're very, very emotional. We just react out of emotions. When you're in law school, they teach you to be a stoic. And in being a stoic, that means to not to act out of your emotions. We as a people, we're very, should I say, we're not operating out of analytics and what I would say logistics, or being logical. And so we need more critical thinking, more analytical thinking, and to use our logic a little more. And once we start to do that and get back away from emotions, then we'll be able to use that same thing that you watch Thurgood Marshall on the screen do and begin to study people and not just react because somebody did something that was offensive to us.
Absolutely. And something that may be offensive to you may not necessarily been intentionally offensive, and we do have to be mindful of that. You have to study people. You have to study your craft. You have to study this world, and that's how you become better in it. Gain that knowledge. Where can they find you?
Well, you can find me. I'm at the Shrine of the Black Madonna Cultural and Event Center every Saturday from 12 to 2. We're teaching, so definitely come be a part of that class. We're there from 12 to 2. The address is 5309 Martin Luther King Boulevard here in Houston, Texas. Also, you can reach me direct, 346-217-0595, 346-217-0595. We do have a website, thepeopleslawstudygroup.com.
The movie just further solidified what you and I spoke about previously, right? And it's solidified in a way that you can't believe, right? My bottom line is these things are not new. These things are not new. And they're going on now in the newest of ways. They old, but they're going on in the newest of ways, right? And it takes, you know, we look for Washington, D.C. to correct them, right? We've been waiting on that forever, right? We look for certain areas and groups to correct them, right? But it starts in our neighborhood, and our neighborhood have to take care of it. Households have to take care of it. We have to educate ourselves on what goes on, right? Bottom line, if they don't treat you right, what make you think they're going to teach you right? You know what I'm saying? So to educate you, you know what I'm saying? Educate you. And on the inside of learn, the word learn, you also find E-A-R-N, earn. But it starts with an ear, right? But you educate, you learn, and you earn. You educate yourself from that. And you said it yourself, you know, you said it yourself. But he had the struggles and atrocities that he was going through is no different right now, right? But one of the differences is all the things he had to go through to get it done, you know, traveling from place to place, right? And had to get some people who kind of look like us. Bottom line is, I said it before, we spend $1.3 trillion a year with everybody else but each other. Our counterparts that look like us basically spend the same thing. The problem is that we spend it with everybody else but each other. You know, if it's to be, it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to you. It's up there. We got to start with our finances ourselves. Absolutely. We got to become better stewards of our finances ourselves. And if they're not buying our potatoes, we don't need to be buying their sausages. Okay, all right.
All right, so Mr. Darkins, we are done with the movie. We have been riveted, shaken, Stirred?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? What are you thinking?
You know, I think it was a very interesting movie. Obviously, Thurgood Marshall was a great orator, had a great strategy when he was going into the cases, was very patient. I thought you got an opportunity to see a lot of the judicial bias that can take place in a courtroom. It's not always going to be fair towards you. One of the things I noticed is that he made the comment, we're going to object to everything.
Yes.
Because what people don't understand is that if you don't object, you don't preserve it on the record for appeal later.
Yes.
So even if you think you might upset the judge, you need to object. So he made some very informative things that if you're paying attention, you really can kind of latch onto.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I think is most troubling for me is that most of the reasons that men in my community are in prison for are not offenses in which you actually have a victim. Right? It's all strict liability. It's where somebody said you can't do this, and now they find themselves in court on trial with no one on the other side saying that they've been injured or the property has been damaged. So I think the times have kind of shifted away from more of the traditional, let's prosecute somebody for actually hurting somebody and then just misconstruing that situation, to where we're now being prosecuted for things that there is no injured party. There's no one to step up and take the stand and say, hey, I've been injured as a result of X, Y, and Z's actions. And I think that's the biggest tragedy that we face today.
Yeah, what's amazing is that we start to see the systemic racism, right? The things that were displayed in the movie where someone is not only known to be innocent, but someone has now said, in order for me to make a record, make a name for myself, and to continue this legacy of injustice, I'm going to have to make you guilty, even when they know that you're not. And what that does to the life of someone. And as you saw that the defendant in this case, Mr. Spell, he was just going to succumb to that by saying, and you see that now in our communities where we have young men that are pleading out when they're not guilty. And that continues to be an issue in our communities. What do we do about that?
Well, as you mentioned, when you see someone who's sitting in jail for 5 months, waiting for trial, has no real access to the outside world, and somebody comes to him and say, look, you could be facing life or potentially the death penalty. Why don't you just take this deal for 5 years?
Absolutely.
Just to say that you're guilty. Well, that changes the entire course of their life now. Even after 5 years or 20 years or 14 years, whenever they get out, now they're a convicted felon. They have to live with that legacy. So, it's one of those difficult things. On one side, you have to have individuals that are strong enough to stand up for what they did. For example, this gentleman, if he would have just simply, from the beginning of the conversation, said, look, I didn't rape this woman, this is what happened, with his attorneys, then it could have been a slightly different situation. But we know that the system is not fair towards us. And you could see throughout the movie where there were segments where the judge, his judicial discretion, could have changed the course of that case.
Absolutely.
He could have very easily said, no, we're not going to allow the testimony of that gentleman who just said that, the reason I lied is because in Louisiana I would get skinned and hung up by a tree.
Absolutely.
Right? And then the judge just making that decision to say, I'm going to allow that, totally changed the course of the case. It could have went the other way.
Yeah. It's important to understand how important our judicial leaders are in determining the outcomes of our lives, the lives of all of our family, those people that are in communities, sometimes in communities that are not as affluent. And those are the ones that are disproportionately affected. Thurgood Marshall showed us how to take the limits off, right? He was an educated man, and he showed people how the truth could set them free, and then he demonstrated that through his work with the NAACP. I don't think I realized all of the things that he did. I think Chadwick Boseman did a wonderful job of portraying him. Yeah, just beautiful, beautiful, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have to support these movies. We have to support this is a weekend and it's coming out. Everybody needs to hit the theaters and get in. I've seen the screening, but I'm still going to go patronize this weekend.
Absolutely. Come out, check out the movie. Marshall, October the 13th, this Friday. Make it a weekend with your family. Learn about our history.
Learn about it.
American history. American history.
Take care.
Thank you. So, Ciara, what did you think
chills.
Yeah.
You know, as I stated, I'm a Thurgood Marshall alumni, and so to be a product of his school, you know, walking the halls of his legacy, it just gave me chills to see that that's what he went through. That's what he fought through in order to be the person that he is known to us today. So it's truly an honor to be able to be a Thurgood Marshall alumni.
Awesome. I thought it was an amazing film. I learned a lot. I think I also became a little bit more deeper in my belief that you have to take the limits off of your mind. You've got to push forward.
Because society will make you think that you can't do something that you're not allowed to do. You know, at the end of the movie when he drinks from the white-only water fountain, that right there was so just symbolic to let you know that only limitations you put on yourself is yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the gentleman that was watching him, like,
he was like, wow, I could have did that.
What are you
been drinking good water this whole time?
Exactly. It's amazing. Unfortunately, you have to say it. It's amazing the ignorance that we have perpetuated in our life and in our society, and we truly have to push forward and forge for something better, something different.
Yes. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was amazing. We are going to grab some more people, get their thoughts on the movie.
Please.
Again,
Definitely speak with Christopher Darkin.
Yes, an amazing job, Ciara Sewsbury.
Thank you. Very dynamic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Welcome back to the Simply Centrell Show. We have been having an amazing time here in the studio. So glad that you guys decided to join us. Make sure to like, share, and follow on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Simply Centrell. And also make sure you check out Ciara Sewsbury page. Where can they find you?
They can find me at Berry Dynamic PR Agency on Facebook, as well as on Instagram, Berry_Dynamic PR. And you can always email me with your inquiries at berrydynamicpr@gmail.com.
Very good. So just in case you need someone to do PR for you, check her out. So we are talking about creating perception with purpose. And, you know, today we have already experienced a number of obstacles. We have had the most, anything can happen, will happen. It did happen.
Down the list?
Yes, we can go down the list. We could go down the list. The thing about it is that we're both here, though.
Yes.
We both decided that we were going to keep going, we're going to keep moving, and I think that that's paramount. That's paramount to share that, you know, although people see us sitting here and we're having a conversation, we're sharing things with them on how they can push through life. We're living it, right?
Yes.
Literally, there was almost no show tonight, and then we were able to give them a show. So, you know, obstacles are what you deal with.
Yes,
you know, as
definitely.
a
Crisis.
PR firm, that's what you deal with. Crisis, obstacles, and how you message those, how you handle those. So how do you handle those things in your own life?
My own life, you know, first I breathe. You gotta breathe through it.
Yes.
And I just realized that without struggles, there is no progress.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so how can I be a better person if God isn't testing me? And if he's not testing me, then clearly I'm not doing something right. So I just feel that it's all just part of God's plan to make me the woman that I'm designed to be and to keep me walking in my purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we just finished talking about the Marshall movie. And just think about what our lives would look like without the Thurgood Marshalls of the world actually struggling because they had such opposition, pushing through. What would our world look like? It would be totally different than it is now. The freedoms and things that we have had to fight for, which were already ours to begin with and taken away, we would not have because there were a lot of obstacles to overcome just to get the law on our side. So I think that that is an important lesson for our audience to hear, that everything that we appreciate, everything that we get to enjoy today came with someone's struggle, came with someone's obstacles, and now we have progress because of it. We have learned. None of those things were failures. They were all progressive to the next thing, a stepping stone to the next thing that you or that I will do, right?
Yes.
So, yeah,
It's amazing. Brian Singleton, he was actually one of the guest speakers at the event, and he told me today, someone had to be the candle in order to burn for someone else to shine. Yeah. And when you look at that figuratively, you know, the candle smells so beautiful, but figuratively, that candle is burning, you know, you're melting. And so many people, you know, in our society, people that have made history, they had to take the fire, you know, in order for us to enjoy this light, enjoy the freedom. So, you know, the Marshall movie is just so paramount in what we need to appreciate. And my favorite part of the movie is at the end, spoiler alert, is when
don't do it
when he drinks from the water fountain that says white only, and the black guy is looking at him like,
I can't believe you did that.
Oh yeah.
Is somebody watching? Like we can do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it lets you know that the only one that is restricting you and putting a strain on your life is yourself.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're right. Somebody has to have the thought and then take the action. And then, as you already spoiled the movie, which I actually think it's in the trailer. So they just saw it a few seconds ago before we came back from the break. So no worries on that. You didn't really spoil it. Now they know it's at the end of the movie. I don't think they knew that. That's the spoiler. So, I mean, that gentleman watching him, and who was an older gentleman, by the way.
Who grew up during that time.
So live this life of like, don't do that, and see someone do it, and it's like, oh wow, we can do that. See, and I think that that's one of the other profound lessons. See, you're a role model. I'm a role model. All the things that we do as we persevere and we continue through obstacles to put on shows and to talk about topics that are really important for people to understand what PR is all about and how you do create your own perception, your own world. And we sit and we model these things. We don't know who's watching. We don't know who's seeing something in us that says, oh wow, well they're doing that. Maybe I can do it too. As a woman, as someone who is young and or someone who was working a 9-to-5 and now they're thinking about going off on their own or being an entrepreneur, there are a number of different people out there that are looking and being inspired. And I always like a quote that's one that I actually heard recently, and it said that, you know, to be mindful of the people that God has in your present, because they're there to set up your future. So here you don't know who it is that you are meeting, who you're seeing, and what that's going to mean for your life. Someone's seeing you today, and their future is now going to be different. Their trajectory, what they think is possible, is going to be different. And maybe, or the passion or the purpose that they've always had inside, now they feel like, you know what, I think I can unleash this. I can let it out. You know, it's time for me to not have any limits on my life. Because look at her. She just did what she wanted to do. So I think that's pretty important. And I know for you, there was probably a lot of places that you had to go and things you had to do that were uncomfortable.
Yes, very much.
So as you stepped out, what were some of those uncomfortable things?
Realizing that I don't need a buddy to go out with. So, you know, typically as women, you know, we always go out with our girlfriends or, you know, have a partner to go with. And I was like, you know, I came in this world by myself, you know.
Did you? You weren't a twin? You weren't a twin?
I wonder so. You know, we always have that one twin that we look alike in the world.
They say.
But no, just realizing that it's okay to go out by yourself, you know. Go out of my professional gear, bring my business cards, and I'll go to different networking mixers.
That's important.
And, you know, I just walk in and, hi, I'm Ciara. And I shake hands, I introduce myself, and before I know it.
With that smile and that personality, and you're like, hi, it's me.
Yes, and I make people uncomfortable, but once they see me interacting with other people and then people gravitating towards me, it's kind of like, you know, like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, who are you here with?
Yeah.
I'm here with y'all.
Yeah. Well, it might be that you might feel like you make people uncomfortable because that's not really prevalent. Like, people don't walk up to you and say, hi, I am such and such. That doesn't happen often.
Yes.
Most people stand off to the side. Whoever they came with, that's who they're going to be, you know, just kind of spending their time around. They don't step out and meet new people. And you just never know what's going to happen. As a military, a child in the military and being in a military family, I understand that very, very well. I would never make friends without actually stepping out and saying, hi, I'm Centrell, and what is your name, and then that just carries you through life. And those people that see you, they're probably like, oh, well, that's different.
Yes.
Yeah. So then you probably encourage them to be a little bit more friendly and and look and smile and just your personality and your presence makes people feel like, oh, well, this, I might want to know a little bit more about her. So that's important too. You don't just say hello and who you are. It's how you say it. It's what your presence is, how you smile, it's how you show up. So that's pretty important. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what is your target clientele? Like, who are your clients?
So right now I am representing Stairway to Heaven Child Care Facility, which is located in the Cypress area. We're actually having a fundraiser this Friday, October 20th at Bounce Trampoline Park from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. One of our students actually has brachycephaly, which is also known as the flathead syndrome, which can actually lead to retardation or other mental health issues. So we're raising money through, going to Bounce, jumping for Sadie's, what we like to call it, and come out, have a great time, bring your family, and all those proceeds will go towards her family in order for her to get a helmet, which she'll need to wear for about 3 months, will help shape her brain.
Oh, wow, amazing. Make sure you guys go out and support. Check out your website.
Yes, you can actually go to stairwaytoheavenchildcare.com. If you're not able to make it to Bounce, you can donate. Everything that is given, it definitely is appreciated. And then in addition to that, I have a huge event on November 18th that is taking place. So, National Entrepreneurship Week is celebrated November 21st to the 27th.
Okay.
So, that's actually Thanksgiving week. So, I'm going to do a Kickstart event. And so, with me really being all in tune with my entrepreneur lifestyle, and that'll actually be about 3 months now that I'm, being an entrepreneur. So, I definitely wanted to do something to celebrate and to celebrate other entrepreneurs who are either thinking about it or fresh into their career. So, we're going to have George Walker, who is the CEO of Vanity Homes Constructions. He's also a financial advisor, so he'll be there to give people information about how to start your own business, build business credit, business loans. So I always say that networking events are always so typical. You just go, you pass out business cards, you stand around, you talk. But I was like, okay, I've been to enough. I know what I need to do differently. So I want to make it an empowering event as well as a fun event. So we'll have Samilia, who is from Los Angeles. She's a celebrity makeup artist. She's going to be coming down from Los Angeles to launch her Mimi by Samilia lip gloss line. So I'm really excited about that, as well as give her tips and her experiences on how to survive in Hollywood.
Absolutely.
So really excited to hear her story.
Never have enough good lip gloss.
Right? And of course we have some photographers there giving some headshots, taking headshots for people. So if you're looking to start your own business portfolio, Berry Dynamic has you covered.
All right.
And just a great time. We'll have some poetry performances there. DJ Riss will be in the mix. So it'll be a really nice professional day party. So and I have some great games in mind that I can't wait to share with everyone.
I like that. So you've got a couple of events coming up, and you just had your premiere. Everything is moving fluidly. Who would you say should connect with you for your services? So we're talking about entrepreneurs. Is there a certain type of industry or a certain type of individual, or most of your clients women, men, just so that people who are listening can kind of find themselves in what you do and whether or not there would be a good fit?
So I definitely love to support Black businesses. I feel as though there aren't enough Black people that are in business for themselves, and then if they are, they're not, recognized. So I like to call Berry Dynamic the firm that likes to highlight on hidden treasures here in Houston. So I have Creative Group Economics, which is a Black-owned organization that highlights other Black businesses in the area. So they actually just came out with an app, which if you list, your information in their app, they'll be able to find you if you're a Black business. So it's pretty neat. And so in addition to Centrell with Stairway to Heaven Childcare, I've already worked with Leola, who has natural hair products that I've worked with. In addition to Christopher Darkins, who are getting ready to start his Only Free Man in America campaign. Oh, wow. Working with Brian Singleton, who is a financial advisor, as well as George Walker, who will be sponsoring the event in November. So everything that I have interest in growing as a person, that's what I invest in, as well as with Trinity. Her name's Cassandra Skinner. She's Trinity the poet. She actually performed at the Marshall movie. She's all into art and making jewelry, and just a phenomenal person. So I just surround myself with like-minded individuals.
Okay. Well, awesome. So everyone knows Ciara Sewsbury, Berry Dynamic PR Agency. Check her out. You can check her out at berrydynamicpr.com. Yes. And see what she's doing. And also attend the events. We are talking about creating perception with purpose, and I think you do that very well. We are so excited that you joined our show today. Make sure that you guys like, share, and follow at Simply Centrell. And then you can also check her out, Instagram and Facebook. Yes. So we will catch you next time. Again, like, share, follow, and make sure that you share this video. You never know who else needs to be motivated to step out and create their own purpose. Have a great night.